The one thing that gives me the most joy in what I do is making customers successful. There's a thing called customer success, and a lot of people, they instill customer service. And I think customer service is just doing what you have to do. Customer success is making sure that your customers are as happy, or users are as happy and as satisfied and as successful as they want to be.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello, it's Neil Ball here. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, failures and successes. I'm so excited to bring you our special guest today, Everette Taylor. But before I introduce you to him, I have a quote for you. Sonny Liston said, "Newspaper men ask dumb questions. They look up at the sun and ask if it is shining." The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insights, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Everette, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming on the show, Everette. Everette Taylor is founder and CEO of MilliSense and is leading marketing for the new projects at Microsoft. Everette has maintained a strong track record of helping companies grow through creative, data-driven marketing. Previously, he served as CMO of the popular e-commerce company Sticker Mule, and he co-founded the tech company Growth Hackers. Everette, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Everette Taylor. I'm currently CEO of MilliSense, which I also founded. It's a marketing firm where we help companies grow. That's our specialty. We work with a lot of early traction startups, mid-sized companies, and even enterprise companies looking to, instill some growth in their company strategy. And that's really what we focus on, is growing companies through digital marketing tactics. I also do growth and marketing strategy with Microsoft for some new special projects that they're working on. I've also co-founded a website called Growth Hackers that I probably will mention later in the show, which focuses on data-driven analytical marketing. I've worked as an exec at different startups, VP of marketing, CMO over at Sticker Mule. My career has really been focused around, helping startups grow and getting the most traction that I can. And on a personal level, I try to make sure that my life is not totally consumed by tech. And that's one of the reasons that I live in sunny Los Angeles, California, and not San Francisco. I do enjoy the fact that I love a life of culture outside of tech, whether it's movies, music, art, sports. Those are things that really drive me in what I enjoy doing on my off time.
So, what is it you enjoy most about what you do?
What do I enjoy most about what I do? Making people happy. The one thing that gives me the most joy in what I do is making customers successful. There's a thing called customer success, and a lot of people, they instill customer service. And I think customer service is just doing what you have to do. Customer success is making sure that your customers are as happy, or users are as happy and as satisfied and as successful as they want to be. And there's something that optimizing people for happiness and getting them to a point where they're completely satisfied is what I enjoy most in what I do.
I love that phrase, optimizing people for happiness. I've heard of optimizing a website or something, but optimizing people for happiness. How do you do that?
And you know, you talk about optimizing a website. That is part of it, right?
Yeah.
If someone is having a great experience on your website and, you know, you're skilled in conversion rate optimization. For instance, when I was CMO of a Sticker Mule, we made sure that the flow of our website was so easy to use that you could literally make an order under 60 seconds. And that's making the experience easy, frictionless, and very easy to understand for your users. One of the things that we did when I was there was that we have a lot of customers from overseas, and one of the things that weren't making them happy was the fact that, you know, they couldn't understand the measurements, the unit of measurements over in the US. And so we changed that, so once they came onto our site from whatever country they were coming from, they would see the unit of measurement for their country. And so those are the type of things that you do to make someone happy. You know, if they have any issues with your product or anything, your software, you know, making sure that you go above and beyond to help them fix that. I remember at Qualaroo, when I was running marketing there, we would actually talk to customers and get ideas for new features. And if they were valued customers, we would build out features for them. You know, it's about going that extra mile.
Yeah, and how do you keep track of whether people are happy on a website with in terms of this? Because obviously, you have to be able to manage. You have to be able to measure this somehow, don't you? Presumably.
Right. And so for websites, this is a little bit biased too. I used to run marketing for a company called Qualaroo, which is a little surveying tool that you can put on your website that pops up on your website, and it's non-intrusive. And it allows you to take what we call net promoter scores. And net promoter score, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I have read
but
that, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically, you know, how unhappy would you be if this product didn't exist on a scale of 1 to 10? Mm-hmm. And being able to get that type of score from the people that are using your website and using your product is highly, highly valuable. And also making sure that you're doing the qualitative research as well. You know, when your sales team is working with customers or you're interacting with customers, make sure that you're getting that qualitative feedback from them. Really going the extra mile and asking them, you know, are you happy? Is there anything else that we can do? So it's a mix of quantitative through surveying, through looking at analytics. You know, are people dropping off this page? Are people unsubscribing? And also the qualitative data by actually communicating with your customers and users is a way to kind of, you know, figure out the happiness of your users.
Yeah, so the NPS score is actually based around the Ultimate Question book, isn't it? Or the Ultimate Question 2.
Right.
Yeah. So what is it that drives you, Everette?
That's a good question. So don't get offended by this, but nothing drives me.
Okay.
Nothing drives me. You know, for the longest time, I thought that helping my family, getting out of a bad financial situation, you know, living good, all these things were the things that drove me, you know, because I came from such, you know, a poor background and things like that. And it's interesting that when you do find a level of success and you realize that you're still as hungry and you're still as motivated as ever. And what I came to realize is that I'm literally just wired that way. I could create $1 billion company tomorrow and then be just as hungry as I am now, or be just as hungry as I was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm literally just wired that way. I can't explain it. I'm just so motivated, ambitious. Every day that I wake up, I want to give 110%.
Is that because you get a thrill out of getting it right and being successful and creating something? Would you say that's the reason?
You know, I enjoy that aspect of it, you know, but it doesn't really motivate me. It's It's enjoyable. You know, success is enjoyable to anyone, but I wouldn't say that necessarily that feeling necessarily motivates me to do what I do.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out why you've not got something that drives you. If it's not that, then I just wondered if it was the buzz out of, you know, it's almost like the buzz out of doing the deal or the buzz out of winning something, you know, that kind of thing. You
know, what's so crazy is that when I get that feeling of winning, it's such a temporary feeling for me. When I win, first of all, I'm my biggest critic. So when I win or I do something successfully, and if everyone else is celebrating it, I'm like, I could have done that a little bit better. You know, I'm my biggest critic. So I don't take the time to really bask in my success. I'm always thinking about how I can do something better or leverage that success to do more.
Yeah. And how do you relax when you're not working in your business?
Oh, my favorite part of the day is when I eat. I love eating because when I go and eat, I turn my phone off. I block out the world. And even if it's just for 30 minutes, I'll sit there with my chicken burrito or whatever I'm eating that day. And I just relax and read or do whatever is relaxing to me, put some music on. Those are the times throughout my day that I really, really, really enjoy. And outside of that, like I said, I really love culture, and that includes going to sporting events, going to comedy shows, going to movies and theaters, museums, traveling. One of the things that I do whenever I travel somewhere for business, I make sure in my contract, you know, if I'm going to speak there or business meetings or whatever, that I have time to explore and enjoy wherever I'm at. I really enjoy, you know, exploring new cities and new things.
Do you have any entrepreneurial role models?
Entrepreneurial role models. I really look up to Laura Weedman Powers over at Code 2040. I actually volunteer with them. Code 2040 is an organization that helps out Black and Latino founders and entrepreneurs achieve their dreams and also help, you know, minorities get placed in jobs in the tech world, which, you know, diversity is sorely lacking. And she's amazing. She has her undergraduate degree from Harvard. She got her law degree from Stanford and an MBA from Stanford. She just kicks ass, and I really, really look up to her. And I love the fact that instead of using her intelligence to get her a big corporate job, which she could get, you know, she's intelligent, she can make a lot of money. She's sacrificed to do something that she's passionate about and that she loves. And I think every entrepreneur should try to fit that mold instead of chasing financial wealth, to do something that is really fulfilling to you and really makes you happy. And then outside of her, I really, really respect Morgan Brown, who's not, I mean, he's had his own marketing firm, but he's the guy who's taught me a lot of what I know about marketing. He's currently Chief Operating Officer over at Inman News, which is a successful startup. And he's just awesome. His understanding of marketing people, the psychology behind marketing is so inspiring. And then the last person I would have to say is Mark Zuckerberg. And I say that because he's the person that inspired me to get into tech. We come from completely different backgrounds, but when I was in high school and I was seeing the rise of Facebook, I said, hey, this 20-year-old kid is doing this. If he can do it, then I can do it. And so I've really been inspired by the way he's built his company and how he runs his company.
Yeah. Pretty amazing, really. Everette, can we talk about the time before you were an entrepreneur? What difficulties did you have to overcome when you started your business?
So this is interesting because my first business was a piece of cake. My first business, I was 19 years old, and I wanted to solve a problem for myself, which is usually the wrong way to go as an entrepreneur, because a lot of times if you try to solve a problem for yourself, what you end up realizing is that that's not a problem for a lot of people. And even though if you love the product, it's not a scalable product that a lot of people want. But luckily for me, it was. I was 19 and I was very frustrated with the fact that I wanted to party and, go to bars and things like that. And I couldn't because I was 21. And so what I did was I just went out there and started to do my research and find places like warehouses, restaurants where I could host events that were 18 and up. And they were, they were basically parties, concerts where, we would go to cities where there was a culture that, a bar culture of a 21 and up culture, but you had this huge group of people between 18 and 20 that saw themselves as adults and wanted to have a good time that had nowhere to go. And so I started that company with relative ease, and it was so easy for me. I understood the market. I really didn't have any trouble. And the good thing about that was that I had people surrounded by me that were passionate about what I was doing. And so I had a really easy time with my first company.
Mm-hmm. But you were effectively the customer, though, weren't you, by the sounds of that? So what you wanted was what everyone else wanted at your age.
And it made it really easy, and it was really laid back, and it was something that was fun.
Yeah.
And that was such an easy job, an easy company to build for me. It got harder as time. The lessons I learned were actually more so later, when as an entrepreneur you kind of get on a high when your company is successful, but what you don't really realize is that you have to be ever evolving, and you have to be paying close attention to how the world is changing around you and how people are changing. And what I didn't realize was that the world around me was changing and technology was changing, and that eventually, pretty much almost put me out of business. I sold the company, but it almost put me out of business. And that was a lesson that I learned. The lesson that as far as starting a company, that I learned the most was my second company, which is MilliSense, which I'm CEO of today. And that company was completely different because this was something that was very serious. You're working with companies. This is people's livelihood. This isn't just a party for them. This isn't just a good time for them. This is their life. You're helping them build companies that are their dreams, that this is their blood, sweat, and tears. And so it completely changes things. And when I started MilliSense, I was older, and I think I was a little bit more full of myself. And I thought I could do this by myself, and it was disastrous in the beginning. I tried to build MilliSense while juggling another job, while only getting a couple hours of sleep a night, without having any support system or anybody helping me. And it led me down a spiral of depression. It led me down a spiral of unsatisfactory work. A lot of my first initial clients, because I was juggling so much, weren't satisfied with the work that I was doing. And I had to learn very quickly that you can't do this on your own. And I had to understand the importance of delegation. I had to understand the importance of building the right team and culture around you. And when I figured that out, the company took off.
And did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
Yes. So I was leading marketing for a software company at the time, and I was getting all these requests to be a consultant. And at the time, I wasn't getting paid as much as I thought I should be getting paid for the work that I was doing. And so I started taking some consulting on the side, and I realized that, hey, this is really profitable, that I needed to start a company. And I came up to my CEO at the time, and I was really honest with him about what I wanted to do. And I said, hey, this wouldn't affect my work here. This would be all after hours. And he basically told me no, that I couldn't do it. And that I couldn't work there without, while I did that. And for a while, it made me pause on what I was doing. And then I really realized that, hey, at the end of the day, if this doesn't affect what I'm doing, and if I could still effectively manage my job, which I was doing a great job growing the company and marketing the company, then I should be able to do what I want to during my off time. And if during my off time, I want to work at McDonald's, if I want to, party or whatever it is, I should be able to do that. If I want to build a company in my off time, then that's what I want to do. And that's what I did. And so for a while, I was very hesitant about pursuing that company just because of the reaction I got from the CEO that I was currently working for. But, I got past that and went for it.
Mm-hmm. I take it that was probably because of a conflict of interest, would it be?
It wasn't a conflict of interest.
Was it not? All right. So it's something slightly different.
Yeah, it wasn't a conflict of interest or, competing businesses or anything like that. Yeah. And actually, I was driving my customers to use the software that my company, the company I was running marketing for. I drove business for them. So it actually only helped them, but it wasn't competing or conflicting at all.
What mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Something that slowed me. I think not having resources around me. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and then I went to school at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia, which is a small college town. And I didn't really have, tech entrepreneurs or business entrepreneurs outside of like small, restaurants and things like that around me. And so not having those resources or those people that I could really look towards that could help and guide me really slowed me down. And I talked about this in an article before. I didn't really have any mentors, during my early entrepreneurial journey. I didn't really have anyone that I could talk to or reach out to. And that really hurts. And that's why now, when I've reached the level of success that I have now, that I make sure that I take time to speak to young people and, aspiring entrepreneurs, because I know how important that is to have those resources and that mentorship. And that's something that I didn't have, and it really slowed my process. I didn't know, how to do taxes. I didn't know how to do payroll or do a lot of things that's needed to build a company. And it was rough. It was rough for a long time.
Yeah. And what's some of the things that you did before you started your business that'd be helpful tips to some of the listeners who haven't yet taken the first step on the entrepreneur way?
Really making sure that you master your craft. Really take the time, or not master, but really good at what you want to do. If you want to become an entrepreneur, then you need to understand a lot of the aspects of accounting. You need to understand the aspects of marketing, managing a team. And there's so much content and so much things that you can learn on the web when it comes to all these different things, analytics like Google Analytics, all these different things that you need to learn as an entrepreneur. These things are readily available on the web that you can learn. It's just all about taking the time out of your day to learn these things. And a lot of people, they want to be successful, but they don't take the time to really improve themselves. And so relentless self-improvement is the thing I think helps entrepreneurs the most, constantly wanting to get better.
Can we just talk about the entrepreneurial journey a little bit now?
Okay.
Do you think culture is important from the beginning in a business?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Culture is extremely important because at the end of the day, the people that work for you, you don't want them to feel like it's a job, and you want them to feel passionate about what they're doing. You don't want people who are in it just for the money or are unhappy with what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, if they are, you get a worse product. You know, whether it's a service, whether it's software, whatever it is, you're going to get a worse product if people aren't happy where they're working and aren't satisfied with the culture. And it just leads to tension. It leads to just negative vibes. It just leads to lack of company success, especially within a smaller company. You know, that really breeds a lot of negativity if you don't have the right culture. And the one thing I learned right away was that building that right culture immediately was so important, because the people that work for me gave me their heart and their soul and their everything.
And how do you make sure that the people that work for you are happy?
Well, first of all, making sure that they are compensated well. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of companies, they try to cut corners as much as they can to pay people the least they can. And I disagree with that. You know, if you have a budget to pay somebody, say, $50K, then, and if they're good and they're great, why not pay them $50K? Why are you trying to, talk them down to 30 or 35K? If you have the budget, go for it. You know, and I know that goes against conventional wisdom, but the thing is, if you compensate people well, they're more happy and they're more willing to stick around longer. Because that churn of employees ends up actually costing you more than that 10K, right? Yeah. You know? And so making sure that you compensate people well and make sure that they're really happy about the conditions that they're working in. You know, when I employ people, I ask them, what do you need from us? What will make you happy? You know, for instance, say someone, has a kid and they get out of school at 3:00. You know, hey, can I come in early at 7? 2 hours early so I can get off at 3. You know, those are the type of things that you try to cater to the employees that work with you, and making sure that they understand that you have an open line of communication and that things are very transparent and that you're not going to bullshit each other. And you don't have to be best friends with the employees that you have, but you need to have a positive relationship with them.
Knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
Yeah, asking for help. Not being stubborn. Not being stubborn and trying to do everything on my own and figure things out on my own. I'm a big fan of self-learning, but at the end of the day, you can't self-learn to your own detriment when you have resources and people that you can reach out to. And there was a lot of people that I could have reached out to in the beginning that I didn't, that had more expertise, that had more experience, and I wish I did before.
And how much does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business?
Oh, they're huge, but I've gotten smarter, and I make sure that those gut feelings can also be backed by data.
You said in your bio that you were involved with growth hackers at some point. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was running marketing for a company called Qualaroo for Sean Ellis. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a renowned entrepreneur and marketer within the tech space. And, it really came up as an idea to build a community and drive business to our core product, which was Qualaroo. Mm-hmm. And when we started it, it was never meant to be what it is today. We never saw it as being what it was. And, when I got the project and I led marketing on it, it was kind of like, hey, this is okay, but this is not really a big deal. But the community was really built around trying to provide content and build a community for our product, Koala Root, and just build more business around it. It wasn't meant to be its own separate company, which it is today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a great name, isn't it? And it's something that a lot of people now use as you'll hear a lot of people talk about growth hacking as a concept.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably that name was around before you created the website, was it?
Yeah. The founder, Sean Ellis, who I started the company with, he was the guy who coined the term growth hacking.
Oh, so when people talk about it now, it literally is from that coined phrase that you've created there. Yeah.
Oh, well, he created it. He's the one that created it. Yeah, he's the one who created it. And when he created it, he snatched up those websites like Growth Hackers and Growth Hacking and stuff like that. And so, he's the one who coined the term. He's famous for coining the term, and it's grew into this huge thing. I was watching Andrew Chen talk about how a few years ago, when growth hacking had just came around, you had no one calling themselves a growth hacker. And now you go on LinkedIn and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people calling themselves growth hackers.
Yeah.
Now, it's definitely spread as a catchy buzzword.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the case. I come across quite a few people who are doing that. So are you still involved with growth hackers now?
Oh, no. I started it, but now I'm focused on my other ventures and things like that. I still have a good relationship with members of the team and things like that. But, I'm on to, doing other things. I love Growth Hackers. I think it's a great site. I love the software that was started when during my time there, and it's finally coming to beta and being released to the public. But yeah, it's not something that I'm entirely passionate about, and I just want to be able to work on things that I'm passionate about at this point in my career.
Okay, thank you. What advice would you give to other business owners that may be struggling in business right now?
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, and make sure that you are actually still enjoying life, because there's nothing worse than struggling as an entrepreneur and then your personal life being terrible as well. Make sure that you're still doing what you need to do to make sure that you're personally happy, because at the end of the day, businesses come and go, but your mental and emotional health is still what's most important at the end of the day, and your happiness is what's most important at the end of the day. But to the ones that are struggling, I also want to say that there's always a way. There's always a way. And you, even at your bleakest moments, you can find a way, whether it's reaching out to people, whether it's, putting in more extra time, whether it's, strategizing over and over and over again. There's always a way. There's always something that you can do. So don't get discouraged, and really try to seek out help as much as you can. One of the things I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing that struggle is they take on a burden that is too large for them. And whatever you can do, make sure that you're reaching out to people. And also, if you're trying to solve a problem, there's been so many entrepreneurs and probably someone who had the same issue as you. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence of looking online and checking out content and checking out people that may have made the same mistakes as you or struggling with the same things that you're doing. And that's why, something like Growth Hackers is a good resource to have.
Yeah. Life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. And many people say the only constant in life is change. Everette, how do you try to keep up with change?
There's a lot of different types of change. I think from a professional standpoint, I make sure that I am constantly getting better at my craft, and that means whether it's taking Udemy courses or reading certain blogs or trying to improve the skills that I already have and learning new things. I'm constantly trying to adapt. As a marketer, things are changing. More and more engineers are getting marketing jobs. Marketing is becoming much more of a technical skill. So I'm constantly trying to become more technical and get better at what I do. And on a personal level, as far as changes, I just embrace it. And I know things aren't always going to stay the same. And I just try to look on the good side of everything that comes into my life and, try to make the best of it that I can, even the negative things.
What is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it?
I think my favorite book is Hooked by Nir Eyal, and featuring Ryan Hoover. I love that book because it really gets to the core of understanding people as an entrepreneur, the psychological process and what goes into, creating, getting a customer or creating valued customers. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think of, is the psychology behind this. And this book, Hooked, Hooked, does a great job in really exploring that phenomenon.
Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you of a free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to www.freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you've not already signed up, then you will qualify. Everette, what I'd like to do now with you is speculate about the future a little bit.
Okay.
What one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
I would definitely try to scale software, marketing software, to go create a SaaS business, software as a service business with it. It's something that I've definitely been exploring, and I'm really excited about the possibilities of being able to help people with marketing tools. At the end of the day, when you're a marketing firm, you're only going to hold clients for so long, right? But software is something that people can use for the long term. And so that's something that if I could do it and knew that I would be successful at it, I would definitely put out into the world. And I'm already starting to generate some ideas, but that's the dream for MilliSense.
And what skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
What skill to double my business? Probably programming, coding, being able to do things a little bit faster, being able to code better and things like that. Implement things a lot faster and ideas faster. And also to build out some of the software ideas that I have in my head.
In 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say?
We're happy. We're 110% happy. I want to make people happy. I want to make sure that people are as successful as they possibly can be. And that's what really drives me as a person. And so I would hope that they say that they're happy and they're completely satisfied.
We're now at the part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets with us. Everette, what is your favourite quote and how have you applied it?
My favorite quote is our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I think for a lot of us, and how I apply this in my life, a lot of us, we have these big dreams. We have these ideas. We want to do all these things in our lives, but we don't go for it. And I think a lot of us know how much potential we have, and we're scared to fail. And I think you cannot have that mentality when you're trying to be successful in life. You have to be motivated and just take a leap and put yourself out there, especially if you know that you have the talent.
Do you have any favorite online resources that you could share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Growthhackers.com. Growthhackers.com is my favorite resource. I know that's a little bit biased, but Growth Hackers is just a great site for anybody who's an entrepreneur, especially with the digital space becoming more and more important, to understand how to market, how to develop product, and how to be an entrepreneur within the digital world.
And what is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
My best advice is to remember that your personal happiness is what matters most at the end of the day, and that there is a life outside of your work, that you can't get totally consumed by your company or your business. You know, make sure to not forget your family, you know, the people that you love, the people that love you. Don't, block all those people out or, isolate yourself. Make sure that you are living a life outside of your work.
Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Everette's favourite resource or his favourite books, then you can find the links on Everette's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Everette or Everette Taylor in the search box. Everette, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
Check us out, MilliSense.com. We do our best to make sure that you're completely satisfied. We do our best to make sure that we're getting the best results for you. And, the results speak for itself. So check us out.
Everette, it's been an honour having you on the show. You really have given us some great insight into the entrepreneur mind and the entrepreneur spirit and what it takes to be successful. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.